guys, we're Ferdinand and Moritz from the Team Array. We participate in the 2024 F1 in Schools Aramco World Finals, and we would really like to welcome you to our new podcast. Our podcast is called How to F1 in Schools, and we're going to talk about the things that we accomplished or the steps that we took to get to the World Finals, our preparation to the World Finals, and also maybe give you an idea of what learnings we had along the way so that you can participate in F1 in Schools as well.
Yeah, you maybe heard about our team, so just a short introduction. So we're 6 guys from the Gymnasium Grobmoor in Hamburg, and for me, I'm Moritz Bauernschmidt. I'm the marketing manager for Team Array. I handle all of our sponsorships, and I also write the portfolio enterprise for the World Finals.
So I'm Ferdinand, I'm the team manager, which means I organize the team and also manage the different works. I create the Gantt chart, the work breakdown structure, manage the performance domains, and of course I'm the team principal, which means that I write the portfolio management.
Yeah, and in this episode we're mainly going to talk about our experiences at the German nationals, and also going to talk about what we learned through our participation.
Yeah, and in general, we're going to make 5 episodes. The first episode is going to be about, as already said, the German finals. And for the next episodes, you're going to have to take a look at the titles to really get an idea of what we're going to talk about. I think, we can start now. We're going to, first of all, talk like 15 minutes or something about the German Championship. Then we're going to tell you about the learnings that we took from the German Championships that maybe you can apply to your project as well. And then we're going to take a look at the sponsor that actually supported us from the German Championship to the World Finals, which is Lenol, as you can see on the team race wear.
So I think I'm going to start with our experiences at the German nationals. So I think we had about 3 months or something like that.
It was a really tough schedule because...
That's true.
We had like the Hamburg Championship, I think it was in February, and then the German Championship in May, which was...
So and for the Hamburg Championships, of course, we had like 7 months, and then we kind of like had the half of the time for preparing all of our things, and also we had like a big difference to the Hamburg Championships. We had to build the pit display. And in Germany,
maybe it's important to say that we're actually a complete newcomer team, which means that in our first year that we qualified for the German finals, we did instantly qualify to the World Finals. And so it was completely our first time of really building a pit display.
That's true. So we had like no experiences, and that made it even a harder challenge. And actually the pit display was my area of responsibility.
It was really, really crazy for you because
it was very new. So like for the Hamburg Championships, we had to build a display, and you put it on a table and that's it. And for the German nationals, for the first time, it was a real pit display, like as you know it from the World Finals.
It was a pit box, and I think this was like the main challenge that you faced. And I mean, we can really talk about how much we worked towards the German finals. I mean, I remember going into your room like 3 months ago or something, and still seeing the documents that you had on your walls to see which type of size of text looked best, and which could be read and what was too small already. So it was a really tough work. I remember, I mean, for the 3 months that we had to the German Championship, I mean, the motivation was as high as it could be.
Because we had one goal to achieve, and that was placing very well at the German finals and qualifying for the World Finals. Yeah, so as we already started to talk about the German nationals, we could start now with all of our experiences. So my first experiences from the German nationals was our train ride to Cologne. It was in Cologne. And
so we're from Hamburg actually, which would be
Hamburg,
interesting to know. So we're from Hamburg, yeah.
Yeah, and our train ride to Cologne was, I would say, filled with work. We already had finished our presentation, so that wasn't a big challenge. But for our pit display, we prepared a special software with an NFC system. You maybe heard of it. And we had to prepare this presentation for the pit display, and that was a really tough exercise to do. Yeah.
I remember I think in Cologne we stayed 3 days or something across the whole competition, and we slept every night for 3 hours or something. It was completely crazy.
That's true. But I remember the moment when we came out of the train station and saw the Dome of Cologne.
Yeah,
you probably saw pictures of it. And that was like crazy. So we came from Hamburg and then we were in Cologne where the nationals were going to take place.
Yeah.
And I think that was a really cool experience.
It was a really crazy feeling of having qualified for it as well, and knowing that right now
it was our work.
It was our work, and we were competing with the best people from complete Germany in F1 schools. That was really crazy, and I think I also really liked the teams at the German finals because everybody was nice and we had great conversations there. So I think the first day we just basically got to our accommodation in Cologne, started working there, of course, worked I think the whole time. And then
but let's talk about this accommodation because I think it was very special. It wasn't really in the center of Cologne, but like in some suburbia, I would say.
Yeah, it's a suburban area, right?
Yeah, it was called Niel Nord.
Yeah.
And I remember when we got there, it was like not even a hotel, it was a hostel, I would say.
Yeah.
And we were on the top floor, and no one else was there except us.
Yeah.
And we not only stayed in our room, but we also kind of like slept out of our rooms in the corridor. And I remember, for example, the evening before we got to where the competition took place, we trained for our presentation.
Yeah.
And for that we used the TV that was in our room.
Yeah.
And
we
used
the
HDMI cable and
I think we even dismounted the TV from the wall and then put it on the wall again. That was
to make sure that we could train for our presentation.
That's also, I think, a really important thing, which we can also maybe talk a bit about the German competition. I think we have to cut the part a bit short because otherwise the series is going to be the episode is going to be a bit too long. But basically our accommodation was really crazy. We had a great time at the championship, although we were completely drained.
So we already talked about accommodation. Let's talk about the competition days. And
so we actually had a small cut because our phone died, which means that our recording stopped. But yeah, now let's maybe talk about the first competition day, which actually in Germany it's just building the pit display and testing the presentation and everything. But I think for us it was already extremely tiring.
It was tiring. It was. So yeah, in Germany you have 2 hours. I think it were 2 hours. You had for building the pit display, and we had like a construction from our sponsor Item, and that took like 1 hour. But we had special how do you call them?
What do you mean? Do we have the posters then?
Yeah, the posters. And they were self-gluing to the wall of the.
It was like a pretty fun concept. It was called, I think it was similar to like a gecko or something that sticks to a wall. It had like these small. It was basically.
You can really easily erase it, but it's hard to put them on the wall. And I think that took us like 1 hour and 50 minutes. So
it was. I remember because we were really afraid of getting wrinkles into the posters, and I remember how at the beginning when we were allowed to start,
we two and
Tamino, who is now our manufacturing engineer, really were completely focused and started applying applying the posters for 1.5 hours, and it was one
and
of
for the first poster,
one of
20
the
minutes.
most concentrated works I think I've ever done.
That's true.
Because we were so focused and so afraid of making any mistakes, as we had prepared everything perfectly. It was really crazy. It
was crazy, but in the end, it worked out pretty well, I'd say, and we had a really good looking pit display.
Yeah.
And that was basically the first competition day.
I think there wasn't really that much happening, and we were also extremely tired. Of course, we were preparing for a presentation a lot.
That's true.
Constantly.
I remember we after that we ride home, I think. And then our teachers told us that, I don't know, they would come at 1 a.m. I think to our hostel, and we waited and we waited. We prepared our presentation, but they didn't came. And then 1 a.m. they were in our rooms, and then they trained for the presentation with us. And
I think we revised the presentation until like 4 a.m. or something, and then it was.
But it was worth it, I'd say.
Yeah, I would definitely say it was worth it, given the result that we had in the end.
Yeah.
And I think that's already the part where we can switch to the second competition day, which was the real competition day where you get your marks, where you get points for everything that you do. And I think it started actually with the races, and because our team name is Array, we had one of the first presentations.
That's true, but I'd like to add something. So I think that's one of the most, how do you call it, like most interesting moments when you enter like the hall where it takes place, and you go to the monitor where all of the teams are listed for the races, and there you can see if the judges dictated something or found a mistake.
Was unbelievably tense, because when your car isn't fulfilling the regulations completely, you get time that's added to your race time in the end. And if you get time that's added to your race time in the end, then basically the competition is done for you.
It's over.
It's over.
Especially at the German finals.
Yeah. And we were so afraid of not matching some type of regulations in the scrutineering.
Yeah.
And I remember when we walked in there and there was nothing on there, we were extremely
happy. Yeah. But you have to say you have to say there were teams who had like, I think, 0.2 seconds dictated from the time.
Yeah.
And if you are at such a high
level of
competition, that's the end. Yeah.
Which is also, I think, a really important thing that we're going to talk about in the learning part as well, in Array Explains in a few minutes, which is that you should definitely take care of the fact that your car, the first thing that your car has to do is it has to fulfill all regulations without any points that should be deducted in scrutineering. Then you can start optimizing aerodynamics, thinking of different concepts to make it fast and everything. But first of all,
fulfilling the regulations. It is a fundamental, of course. Yeah. So let's go on with talking about the competition day.
I think it was really crazy because we had our race, and we were actually the fastest car in the end.
That's true.
The track was a bit slower than the Hamburg track, and so we rode only 1.095 seconds. I think.
We were like, oh, that's a bit slow.
Yeah, we were really afraid of teams like Evolution or Sirius being faster than us in the end.
Yeah, that's true. But overall, I think we had one of the fastest car, and in the knockout competition, we even had the fastest car. But let's come to that later. So as Ferdy already mentioned, Array, we were one of the first teams to give the presentation. And that was, I think, a crazy experience.
I think I've not been as tense as I've been before this presentation. I remember that Min Sung, who's our design, who takes care of our design and designs everything, he's a very calm guy. He's always relaxed and everything. And I remember when seeing even Min Sung shake before the presentation and really be tense and be like, okay guys, where's the iPad now? Or I think something was missing.
True.
And he was so afraid. We were all so afraid that it was really an interesting factor to see him being really tense as well.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, but we went into the room where the presentation took place, and we saw that one of the judges was actually a judge who was our judge for the Hamburg Championships.
Yeah.
So that was like a bit calming. But then we started holding our presentation, and everything went well, I'd say.
I think.
But then you'll get a signal when 7 minutes are over and you have 1 minute left. And and we hold our presentation, we talk, but the signal didn't came, and we were at our learning experiences, and then the signal came, and we had 1 minute to fill with content,
Yeah.
but we were far over what we had left to say.
Was it really like that? I don't even remember.
I remember that. I think we had one learning experience left, and then the signal came, and then I remember I tried really to put in more content and more content, but in the end we asked, what was the time, and that they said, full points, and that was the moment.
Yeah, that was the most important thing.
It was good. Yeah.
And then I think the competition day overall was very good. We talked to a lot of judges after that. It was way more relaxed after that because we weren't really that afraid.
Away,
some judges talked to us about our portfolios, gave us some tips, which was really important, and that's also a thing that I would like to point out that everybody out there who participates in F1 in schools should take a look at, and that's that when judges talk to you and give you feedback on your things, you should always listen, write down, and really take notes. Because often what they say is really important and can be used for the next competition. Yeah. In our case, the World Finals now.
The World Finals. Yeah, that's true. But I think that was after the knockout competition we had in the end of the competition. So and we won the knockout competition.
That was really crazy.
We had the fastest car, and that was kind of like a bonus. But the knockout competition, it's really fun to win, and you're happy. But it's not what you really want.
Yeah.
Because what you really want is going to the World Finals.
I remember that.
We were happy, but just kind of. And I think after that was the award ceremony.
I remember at the award ceremony, and I think everybody who has ever participated in F1 in schools can relate to that. I was in such a state where you were just afraid of not making it. But at the same time, you wanted to make it so badly to the World Finals, and I remember that when when the other team got called out to third place, and we knew that we were amongst the two teams who had qualified for the World Finals, it was an unbelievable feeling of really working towards a goal and then achieving it.
Yeah, and that's true. And also, when the third place got announced, it was really. Never mind if you get first place or second place, you have qualified for the World Finals, and that's all you want. So then we got vice champions, which I think is a great thing. But first place or second place, it's not really a thing, I'd say.
I think at the World Finals it's definitely different.
Of course. Yeah.
But I think it was really for us. It was just the matter was, are we going to the World Finals or not? And that was really the question. But now. I think it's time to maybe switch on to Array Explains, which is our new format. Now we're going to actually talk about what learnings we took from the German Championships. And the podcast is called How to F1 in Schools for a reason. And we're going to take a look at what tips we really have for you guys out there who participate in F1 in schools to really nail your next competition and get to the World Finals, which in the end is probably the goal of every F1 in schools team.
Yeah, there you have a point. And I would really like to start with a short sentence, stay calm. Because very often you have situations where team members are very afraid, for example, of holding or of
giving
the presentation. And if you have these situations, just give the other person the feeling that it's okay, and you will get through it. Because we had this situation at the German Nationals, but we tried to stay calm, and it really worked out, and we had like the second best presentation. But that's just the quintessence. Stay calm. Everything's okay.
And I would add one thing to that, and I think this is the most important part of that differentiates between the teams that fail and the teams that succeed. And I think that is working together and not making. There are going to happen mistakes or there are going to happen things that you did not want at the competition. That will happen anyways. It really doesn't matter. But you should not make one person responsible for that, or start fighting in your team, which many teams do, which I think is the actual worst thing you could do. But I think that you should make the whole team and everybody should take responsibility for the mistakes that
because
happen.
mistakes happen, and for sure.
And I think that you have to work together as a team and show that you're one unit and that in the end you're working towards one goal together. And there's no differentiation between one person has done this in a bad way, one person has done this in a good way. And I think that the judges definitely pay attention to that as well. And this is why you as a team should always keep together and not fight with each other, but accept that some things may not go as planned. As in our case, luckily everything went very well. But I think that you really have to keep together and stay calm and not hate on each other even.
Yeah, I would totally agree on that. You said it really well. And that are just the key aspects.
I think one more thing that you can also say is, first of all, as we already said, you should definitely take a look at the weight of your car, which is really important for its time. You should take a look at the fact that your car should definitely not be harmed by any regulation. So it should fulfill all the regulations that the car needs. And also I think that it's important to, although you're completely, we were really wasted at the World Finals. We were at the German finals. We were completely done. And I think it could also be important to get some rest beforehand. I think that can also contribute very well to your overall performance.
Yeah, another thing I'd like to add is actually that just take care that you have all your things with you. So for example, for the presentation, all your things you will want to give the judges, because especially if the competition takes place somewhere that's not near to like where you live or to your school, it's very different to get the things. And for the World Finals, if we don't have something with us, that's it. So just take care you have everything with you.
Yeah, I think so as well. And that was basically, I think, the story of how we qualified for the 2024 World Finals, Aramco World Finals, actually in Dammam, which is going to be completely crazy. We're going to go to Dammam, and after that even be at the Qatar Grand Prix.
In Doha.
I'm really excited and hyped for that. It's absolutely crazy, and having made this achievement or gotten to this achievement is really a absolutely great thing. And that's also one of the main parts that support us in that way are our sponsors, because without our sponsors this is not really going to be possible. And that's why we'd like to take a look at one of our main sponsors who already supported us, or one of our most loyal sponsors who already supported us at the German finals and will also support us for the World Finals, which is actually Linol. Moritz, maybe you can tell everybody listening a bit more about what they do.
Yeah, so Linol for the German nationals, they actually were one of our main sponsors, and now they are also I think in our platinum category, but also like a big sponsor who really helps us. And Linol is a company who produces ship oils. We had a presentation, so we presented them for the World Finals, and we got there, and it's really a big company, I'd say.
Yeah.
And
I think they have about 300 workers or something in Hamburg.
Also, they have how do you call it, company sits, company locations, all over the world. I think in the US.
A lot of them are actually in the US. So and if you want to learn more about Linol, you can also take a look at our Instagram where they're going to be represented in our sponsorship post. You can also, we're really happy to, of course, some of you may be watching on YouTube, some of you may be listening on Spotify. If you'd like to take a look at our Instagram or TikTok or something like that, you're always welcome. And I think that's actually the end of the first episode. And we'll see you guys in the next one, right?
Yeah, so stay tuned.